So I don't know if I mentioned this or not on Ryan's job. We're just coming out here this morning to pick up Rosie. You can see George here parked behind me. George is my truck, by the way. I don't know if I ever told you guys that. You know, Rosie's the excavator, Wilbur's the dump truck, Rita the tractor. That's George. And I think the kids named my wife's expedition Bertha or Betty or something like that. Anyway, I was just going to mention I've got to kind of hike in to go get Rosie. It's about, I don't know, quarter mile, maybe almost a half a mile by the time I walk into his property where she's parked. But I'm able to do that because this is all gravel roads. You know, I can't put those metal tracks on asphalt or concrete, at least not without throwing tires down. But in this case, there's kind of there's a road intersection there behind where my truck's parked, and it's a loop. So I had the heavy hauler just drop there on the loop. That way he doesn't have to mess with turning around. He can just drop. And then I tracked all the way down here. But anyway, irrelevant to most of you guys, doesn't really matter. I just got to hike in and get the truck. The heavy hauler, he said he was going to be here at 8. It's like 7:20 right now, maybe. But he texted me and said he was on the way at like 6:40, and I was like, oh crap. So I rolled out of the house and flew up here as fast as I could. I just don't want him waiting on me. So anyway, we're gonna hike in here to Ryan's place and get Rosie started up, warming up. Might see if I can get you a little bit more film footage. It's overcast again this morning, but at least not rainy. I don't know if he did anything. He was gonna try to burn it this weekend, but he said it wouldn't light. So I don't know if he did anything else as far as just kind of scratching up stuff or what. But anyway, just figured I'd mention that's one of the fun little things you run into doing work like this. You know, every now and then you gotta do a little hiking, I guess. But it's actually, I like it like this because the machine's buried way up in here. Like, it's not like it's just sitting on the side of the road for easy pickings for somebody to want to go try to steal the batteries or something. It's a long ways in here. But I'm getting out of breath because I'm old and fat, so I'm gonna cut this off. But just want to mention to you guys, it's a nice morning. Rosie's coming home finally. Well, here we just walked in on the clearing at Ryan's. It looks like he did a little bit to widen out the road coming in, which is nice because that was so thick it was scratching both sides of my truck and folding my mirrors backing in here. Place looks a lot better now that the rain let off because it's dried up really well. It was getting to be a bit soupy and kind of aggravating me when I was out here finishing up the last day. I shouldn't say aggravated me, but just kind of like, man, I don't know about this place. Is, you know, the water was stacking up and it was really wanting to be muddy on top. But this soil is really, really sandy, so it's soaked in really well. Well, like I said, you can see there's still some work to do. It certainly needs, I would say, a dozer with a root rake. Of course, again, like I said, I stand by it. I told him to get a mulcher in here in the first place. But I guess Rosie did pretty good to scratch it all up. It's just when that rain set in, I got to where I was trying to, you know, pick up little bits of limbs and stuff, and I was pulling up more mud and dirt than I was limbs. Of course, the bucket on this thing is so huge, you know, and the teeth are so big that I can hardly scrape real, you know, finesse and pick up just limbs. I always end up getting dirt with it. Of course, there's so much dirt stuck to all these vines and leaves and crap. But anyway, it's going to be really nice. It just needs some work to clean it up. You know, I told him dozer with a root rake. He was asking about, you know, the box blade on Rita, but there's still just too much stuff in here that's buried up in the mud, and it's just I personally think it's too much for Rita. We talked about kind of creating a root rake for Rita's box blade. I don't know if that'll work or not. I'd give it a shot, but anyway, you can see he's got some beautiful timber in here. He's got several great big white oaks. Of course, these two here, they're not they're not all that huge, but they're good looking trees. They're nice and straight, and he's got several all scattered out. That's a big one right back in there. There's a really big one right over here. Not the crooked one right behind it. There's a really nice white oak, but anyway, I'm a little jealous because I don't have anything like that. But anyway, I was just gonna show you guys this. That was the pile that we had burning. The rain put it out. So unfortunately, anyway, that's the small pile. And then we've got a big monster pile in the middle, which really is not as big as it looks. There's plenty of space all the way around it. It shouldn't, I don't really think it'll harm the trees. And when it does burn, he tried to burn it, couldn't get the light. Here was my damage. About 5 minutes from quitting time. That stupid thing busted. And you can see it just broke the welds off the pad eye, and it's since bent my pin a little bit. But I'm happy at least that it was just, you know, just dumb iron that broke. It wasn't anything serious. So we'll get that welded up somehow or another and be back in business. But for right now, I gotta get Rosie cranked up and tracked out to the road. So I think I showed you guys a little bit of this, leaving Ryan's job. But I was just gonna show you the overall damage on the thumb here. I buggered this one up pretty good. So the initial break, the initial issue was here. This weld on that pad eye busted. You can see where it's welded over there. That busted, and I was almost done with the job, so I just fought through and I finished it. But in doing so, I broke a few more things. So this broke, and then the thumb was hanging cockeyed. That caused this to break, which this is just a basically a barrel that's welded between these two eyes to create a sleeve. So that being broke, it doesn't really matter. It's not as structural. It basically is just a, like I said, a sleeve, and then there's, well, this big pin goes through it. So that's not really as bad that that's broken. It just needs to be welded. But it broke because this pad eye is actually bent outwards now. You can see it's not straight like it's supposed to be, so it broke. And then up here on the brace, this sleeve on the brace broke, which again is just a, you know, weld to a collar. So, you know, hopefully we can grind this off real smooth, heat it up, hammer it back into place, and that'll be fine. But I talked to Ryan about it. I think we're gonna just rebuild this whole brace. It looks pretty ghetto anyway with the square tubing on the round tubing, blah blah blah. It's just kind of junky. I would love to have a hydraulic thumb on this machine. I have all the controls for it. The plumbing has gotten broken off from getting snagged on trees and stuff, which sucks, so that'll have to be all fixed. And then of course I'd have to actually buy a hydraulic cylinder, but in theory I could put a hydraulic thumb on here. I would love to have one maybe someday. But for now, we got to deal with what we got, old mechanical thumb. And I'm gonna go ahead and pull it off of here today because it needs to be fixed. At least pull off what I can. Now let's see, this, yeah, okay, so this is separate from this. For a minute I was like, wait, I can't take it off. But I should be able to. This will slip off here. This will stay, obviously it's welded on. This will stay, even though it's broken, it'll stay with this. This will come off. So I'm gonna get a chain around it here, get the tractor in beside it. We're gonna pluck it out of there. The thumb and the brace will come off together. There's that pin there I could pull to take the brace separate from the thumb. I don't want to do that right now, just with a thumb laid over on it. It's just going to be a pain. I don't even know what it, I'm sure it's just got, yeah, it's just got a keeper bolt on that side there. If my camera will focus, there's just a keeper bolt right there. So I could take it apart, but I'm just going to try to pluck it off there right now as one piece. I'll probably regret it, but we'll see. Anyway, I wanted to show you the cracks and the damage. I'm taking it off for right now till we can get it fixed, and I'll just have to deal with not having a thumb when I need it. Moving all these logs and stuff will be a beast, but I'll figure out some trick to get them balanced on the bucket or just pick them up with chains or whatever. But anyway, I can't leave the thumb on there because it's just going to keep breaking worse and worse, and then one of these times it's going to break all the way and leave me in trouble. So let's get the, I got the tractor ready, got a chain, just gonna pluck it off there. Well, there she is off the machine, and sorry I didn't get any good footage for you guys of pulling it off there, but I didn't have anywhere that I could set the camera up that wasn't in the sun. If it had been in the sun, it would have gotten hot, shut off anyway. So anyway, I just had a ton of chains all wrapped around it, just take up the slack wherever I could. Basically had a you know, pick point here and here and there, and then looped them all together to one central hook on the tractor bucket, so everything was balanced, and was able to pluck it right out of there. See, obviously it came out in 2 pieces, so that's that sleeve that I said was cracked and broken, and that's welded to the broken pad eye. So all this stuff is going to have to be, you know, either refabricated or, you know, try to heat it up and bend it back straight, basically, see what we can do. But the old boneyard here off of Rita's, or off of Rosie's, getting a little depressing, because I got the thumb, and then I got this whole hard line that was going out for a hydraulic stick or auxiliary line. It's been bent for years, but it got bent way worse on Ryan's job, and so he took it off one morning before I got there, and we just capped the line, which, it's like I said, it's fine. I'm not using it anyway, but if I ever go to put hydraulic thumb on this thing, I'm gonna have to put all that back on. You can see that one's bent too. I snagged this one on a limb, same thing. And it just, I mean, it's got these couple of brackets, but that's why people don't like doing clearing work, because it tears stuff up. You get limbs and vines snagged on stuff that you can't even imagine. Dang, look at that. That's just a dust seal. The dust seal on my cylinder there is tearing out too. And that cylinder's leaking. Anyway, got the thumb off there now. See a little more how that pad eye is bent out. So either have to heat it up and hammer it straight, or I don't know, cut it all the way off there and try to cut a new one. We'll just have to figure out what we can do. But I wanted to get it off there to look it over. This is the first time I've had the thumb off of Rosie, I think in forever. I think early on I didn't really know, I didn't have a good system to fold it up and pin it open. And so I had I'd taken the brace off once or twice early on to chain the thumb back, and then I realized that, you know, the brace could fold up between that upper pad eye. So anyway, but I've never pulled the thumb completely totally off till now. And yeah, it just looks naked. Something's missing, you know. But like I said, it gets it out of the way, gets it off the machine, so we can, you know, refabricate it off to the side if we need to. And I can still run Rosie around as I need, so we're not have to shut the machine down just to work on the thumb. We'll just get the thumb fixed and pin it back on. But I'll try to let you all know how that goes. It'll happen eventually.